Hey, so if you need help with number 14 on the homework, this can be a little challenging. So I see this tan squared here, and I'm going back to those Pythagorean identities. Tan squared plus 1 equals secant squared. Okay, so if I were to subtract 1 here, I would be left with tan squared by myself, or by itself, I'm sorry, on the left side. Okay, so tan squared theta equals secant squared minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to replace tan squared theta on top with secant squared theta minus 1 over secant theta plus 1 plus 1. Okay. Now the top. This is tricky to see, and this is why I'm doing this problem. Secant squared minus 1. Remember, secant squared, anything squared, like sine squared or tan squared, that's secant times secant, or tan times tan, or sine times sine, or x times x. So I have secant squared minus 1. This is actually a difference of squares, so you may not have seen it, but it's basically secant theta plus 1 times secant theta minus 1. That's what that equals, okay? That's the difference of squares. Over secant theta plus 1 plus 1. Okay, so now here we can actually cancel out the secant thetas plus 1, and I'm left with secant theta minus 1 plus 1. Well, minus 1 plus 1 cancels out, and I've got secant theta as my answer. Please keep questions coming if you have more questions.